All right, we are live today on LinkedIn and Packt's YouTube channel for the DATAcated Holiday Book Party, the first ever book party that we're hosting here on LinkedIn Live. Super excited to have
Yes.
Ravit, Jain here from Packt and from the Ravit Show, partnered up with the DATAcated Conference. Hey, Ravit.
Hey, Kate. Such a amazing book party, right? And it's for the first time, and I'm all set for it. I know there are four speakers. Which are these four speakers? Can I know, Kate?
Yes. So we've got John Thompson, Bill Schmarzo, Josh Milligan, and Stefan Jansen. I always want to call him Stephen Johnson. Stefan Jansen is also going to join us. So we're going to have four great talks from four great speakers. We're going to actually start with John Thompson, but first, let us tell you briefly about what to expect here, how you can win some awesome books, and how we've partnered with the DATAcated Conference. So I'll quickly start and let you know that we've got some great community partners for the DATAcated Conference. We've got Packt, KD Nuggets, the Ravit Show, and some others. And the whole point of this show today is to show our true partnership and have a fun holiday book party. We're going to do some giveaways. And if you've not signed up for the DATAcated Conference yet, it's free to attend. It's going to be in the same format on LinkedIn Live, and you simply go to datacated.co to sign up. And it's a 3-day event, some really great talks that you can expect from there. At this point, I'm actually going to hand this over to Ravit, who is my first ever co-host on the show. Very excited about this. So Ravit,
And many more to go, Kate, for
yes,
sure. Thank you very much. And I didn't know about DataCated, but I've signed up twice. I'm telling on record so that I don't miss it. It's one of my most favorite data conference I've ever visited. I know the last conference that you did was a super hit, and looking forward to this one. And we have so many speakers, and it's happening for 3 days, right? So very happy about it. And great to see everyone joining in. I know there are many people joining in, but just before we start and we get any of our speakers, I would actually want to let everyone know that we'll be giving away 5 e-copies of each of the speakers who would be coming up. And the only thing that everyone needs to do is make sure that they type their the author's name in the chat section while they are actually speaking. So, and also I know, Kate, you'll be doing some interesting raffle around, and one person out of those 5 winners have a chance to actually win a signed copy of these authors. So I'm very excited about it. Also, I wanted to actually quickly touch on the $5 campaign, which is going on Packt. So, okay, quickly, I'll just bring, okay, here it is. So thanks, Kate. So Packt has come up with the $5 campaign. It started from back in December 15th, and it will be continued till 13th of Jan 2021. This is just our way of giving back to the community. All the books, e-copies, and videos will be at $5. Go grab your stuff right now. I'm sure you have a lot to read, and Christmas is here. So let's enjoy this, and let's buy some books.
Yes, buy some books, self-investment, give yourself the gift of knowledge. We've got a bunch of people on here already. Tyler is the first time attending. Hello, Tyler. A lot of LinkedIn users. So people have their privacy settings on. We can't tell who this is, but they're wishing everyone happy holidays. Tushar's here. He likes the Christmas accessories. Ravit, somebody here says they love your glasses. So I didn't recognize you at first with the snowman on your face. That was Aditi loves the setup. Thank you guys. Thank you all for joining us. A lot of good comments on our Christmas decorations. We do have more. We have more stuff to show you. So definitely stick around. And like Ravit mentioned, as the speakers are talking, so the first speaker we're going to have is John Thompson. Just type the name John in the comments so we know you're interested in winning his book. We'll tell you what his book is beforehand, so you'll know if you're interested or not. And 5 people will get a chance to win an ebook, but then also we're going to do a really cool thing where one of those 5 people is going to get a signed hard copy in the mail, something like this, but signed. I didn't get a signed copy. I have to talk to John about this. But yes, without further ado, Ravit, you wanna kick things off with our first speaker?
Yes, definitely. we have John Thompson, obviously, who is the author of Building Analytics Teams. John Thompson is an international technology executive with over 30 years of experience in the business intelligence and advanced analytics. Currently, John is responsible for the global advanced analytics and artificial intelligence team and efforts at CSL Behring. The topic for today, where John Thompson will be talking, is how to structure your analytics efforts for success. So go ahead. I know many of them have read John Thompson's book, Building Analytics Teams. So don't miss this chance and ask some amazing questions. We'll also be, me and Kate would be actually backstage and looking at all the comments, and we'll be picking up 5 random winners, and one of them will have a chance to win a signed copy. So don't forget to also mention John Thompson's name in the comment section where if you are actually signing up for his book. Hey, John, welcome.
Hey, Ravit. Hey, Kate. How are you guys? So happy to be here with you.
And look at them, how festive you are. You're all lit up for us. I love it.
Wow, exactly.
Oh, so pleased to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation to be here and the introduction. The last time I was on the Ravit show, the 3 of us were together. I got so many comments on LinkedIn that Ravit brought Kate in, and we had a chance to just impromptu have a chat. It was way fun.
Well, here we are again. So, John, we're going to leave you to it, and you've got about 10 minutes. And guys, definitely ask some questions. We're going to do a live Q&A after, but we're definitely keeping track of the questions and comments coming in while John is presenting. All right? You're all good?
All set?
See you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. I'm always so happy to be with you, especially on any event that Ravit and Kate put together. It's always fun, enjoyable, and I learn as well. I usually stay and listen to all the speakers after I'm done. So happy to be with you here, and happy holidays to everyone that's celebrating. I'm going to talk about how to structure your analytics efforts for success. Now, I've been speaking about the book, Building Analytics Teams, for the last 6 months, and I thought, let's distill this down. As I've been doing different conversations, different presentations, lots of people ask me questions, and I've started to come up with meta answers to those questions. So I'm going to talk about those today. I remember when Bill Schmarzo and I have known each other for well over 30 years at this point, and we were doing some training at one time, and the trainer said, tell people up front what the takeaways are. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start with the end of the presentation, then I'm going to go back and talk through those points and ask me questions about them as well, so you can understand them from any perspective that you want. So first and foremost, one of the ways to structure your analytics efforts for success is to remember that an analytics team is a creative team. It's more like a team of artists rather than a team of developers. There is a part of the analytics process, the front end of the process, when you're experimenting with new data sets, you're integrating internal and external data, you're trying to align the grains of that data, and you're trying to find out a way to understand the world in a new perspective. Once you've done that, and that's a creative process, it takes some iterations to get that right. Then you have to decide, what kind of techniques am I going to use? Is this a descriptive statistics problem? Is this a classification, clustering, a neural net? What am I going to use on this data set? And there's a lot of experimentation in there, and there is failure. Everybody has to understand that if you're really trying to do something completely new and different, you are going to run into failure. And your management needs to understand that. So in the first part of the process where you're planning that project, give yourself lots of time. Now, we're all under time pressure and we're all accountable and responsible for our projects, but you have to give that analytics team that time to experiment, that time to create the competitive advantage that you want coming out of your advanced analytic efforts. So first and foremost, remember, analytics in the beginning of the process is a creative process that is going to flex and condense in its time frame. So first and foremost, keep that in mind. The second thing to keep in mind about analytics is that change management, the broad topic of change management in the organization, is the wall. That is the cause, the single most It is the single most cause of failure in all analytics projects. It's not math, it's not data, it's not skills, it's not having the right people, it's change management. And what do I mean by that? We as analytics professionals end up doing really interesting work, but we don't, as analytics leaders, we don't bring along the line of business professionals to have them understand early enough in the process what they're going to have to change in their business to actually realize the value of the advanced analytics that we're creating for them. So when you start an advanced analytics project, you go to the executive, maybe it's the CEO, maybe it's the COO, the CFO, whoever it is that's running that line of business, and you explain to them, we're going to do this analytics project, we're going to find out, we're going to predict what our customers are doing, we're going to determine how to get them to do more transactions or spend more money or spend more time on our site or whatever it is. But those analytics are only going to show what kind of improvement we can have if we make the operational changes that are required to realize the value. So you have to go to the executives, you have to get them to understand that an analytics project culminates in organizational change, organizational improvement. And if they don't understand that, then you need to get an agreement that all you're really doing is a project to find insight. You're not doing a project to change the organization. You're not doing a project to realize value. You're doing it because you're interested in the insights and the knowledge it's going to generate. And in some cases, that's enough. Maybe in the first project that you do in an organization, they're really not believing that advanced analytics can drive change in the organization. And maybe you're just doing a project to show that you can deliver insights, and that's okay. So change management is the wall. Change management is the reason that most analytics projects fail. And you need to be clear with the executives and senior managers on what are the objectives you're going for in this advanced analytics project. So that's the second point I wanted to make. The third point, and I'm talking directly to all the data scientists that are watching this session now and watching it later as it's recorded, is that don't try to know everything. It's very interesting. I've been interviewing lots and lots of data scientists over the last few years, and often, people come in and they want to impress you with their knowledge of everything under the sun. And that's just not possible. That's not realistic. We're looking for people, at least on my team, we're looking for people who are experts in a certain area. Maybe you're great at natural language processing or natural language generation or natural language understanding. But I can bet if you're an expert in that area, you're probably not an expert in neural networks. Maybe you are an expert in neural networks, but then maybe you aren't really great in another area. We're not looking for some kind of mythical unicorn or Superman or Superwoman. What we're looking for is curious, honest, engaged, intelligent people who know and understand a certain part of data science. We can help you learn and grow in your understanding of the world, but don't ever sit down in front of someone and explain or expound or communicate that you know everything about everything, because that's not possible. So feel good in what you do know, feel good in what you're an expert in, own your expertise, but also be clear. Hey, I really like to code in Python. I'm a real Pythonista or whatever you like to call yourself. But I don't really use R very much. And if it's an R shop, be clear on that and say, I'm willing to learn R. Just don't overstate what you have, because not everybody knows everything. Just a fact that's out there. Now, those are the three main points I wanted to make. I've got lots of other things I want to talk about, but those are the three main points I want you to take away from this lightning talk today. Another thing that I want to talk about really quick is that we just did a project at my day job at CSL where it took us a year and a half to get this project into production. And at first we thought, oh, well, it's never going to happen. This is just going to be too hard. And the work that we did, we started out looking out, 3 months into the future and predicting what would happen. And it came out pretty well. We actually, got things down to about 2% accuracy. And then we looked out 6 months. Then we looked out, 9 months, then a year. Now we're out to 3 years. And as we went along, the people that we were doing the work for in the line of business, at first they were like, well, you're never going to be able to meet our level of accuracy. We've been doing this for decades and we're better at it than anyone. But we stuck with it and we kept working through all the different roadblocks that were thrown up. And now, I think 2 weeks ago, the legal department came back and said, you know what? We've heard that you guys and gals have actually changed the pricing model, and our competitors are trying to mimic what you've been doing. And we think it's a strategic asset to the corporation. And we want to look at it from a legal perspective to make sure that we've protected it appropriately. So we went from, in the coal mine, hitting the coal face as hard as we could with axes and hammers and thinking, well, we're never going to get this through, to, the executive level of the corporation coming back and saying, wow, not only have you created something interesting, you've actually changed the dynamic of the pricing dynamic in the industry. And we think you've created a strategic asset for the corporation. So it seemed like overnight we went from maybe they don't recognize what we're doing to everybody saying, wow, you guys are really on the edge of making something really exciting and different happen. So no matter what it seems like on your day job and how it feels day to day on your project, people are watching. So keep at it, keep pushing, and you're going to have success. I can guarantee it. Ravit, Kate, you're back. That was the fastest 6 minutes I think I've ever experienced.
You mentioned people are watching. We're watching, and we're back. Thank you so much, John. You always bring it. You have so many great comments here and questions coming in. Alex says JT is the best. Appreciate the authenticity around data science and knowing and being an expert in it all. It's a team sport, and he's still working on this. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
So Ravit, anything before we go to questions?
I think I have one question for John, and that is related to his book building analytics teams. I know I have closely worked with John Thompson, and okay, Kate has it all wrapped. So I know, John, how the process went and everything, but I always wanted, oh, wow. Yeah, we are talking about this book. If you haven't got it for yourself, just go and buy it right away. It's a very super Christmas gift for you. So, John, what is one thing that you like about the book? Like, this part of the book is my favorite. I know it's very difficult to pick one part, but yeah.
In the introduction, I start out by saying to people that, if you're not in this for the long haul and your management is not ready to invest in analytics, don't buy this book. I think I've gotten more comments about that sentence than any other part of the book. People are just like, wow, that really hit me upside the head. And I kept the book, I read the book, but I went back to work with a whole new perspective on this was going to be a long-term thing. It wasn't going to be a 6-month run.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. And actually on that point, there's a question here from Robert. He's asking, how important is soft skills or are soft skills for creating a winning team?
Paramount, Robert, paramount. I love your face covering there. It looks really cool. The book, pretty much through the whole book, I talk about soft skills and the importance of communicating to executives, to senior managers, to data scientists, to partners, vendors, everybody. I know Ravit and Kate both know this. I'm on the advisory board at the University of Michigan for the AI Research Center. I'm on the board of advisors for the University of Texas for their Masters of Business Analytics programs, Oklahoma State's advisory board, and also my alma mater, Ferris State University. And one of the things I talk about constantly is soft skills, communication skills, written, spoken, presentation skills. If you can't get your point across, and Kate does a lot in data visualization and storytelling, your work is going to be less and less valuable. So hugely important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we'll take one last comment from the audience here. From Lewis, he's asking, he says many people forget that data science is an activity that involves many people from many areas. So a crucial aspect is to communicate and learn about teamwork. I'm just a guy that transforms others' work into useful insights. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Luis, that's so true. Data science is a team sport. There's no question about that. And we work hard to make sure that our data scientists are collaborating and reviewing code and talking to each other about approaches, and just really working with the subject matter experts in the line of business people to understand, these are insights that we're delivering for them to make a difference in their business. If that doesn't happen, then it's all for naught.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so John, don't go anywhere yet. We're going to do the giveaway part of this process, and we're going to, for those who are tuning in just now, we're going to do this 4 times today, so you have several chances to win. And in case you win John's book, that doesn't mean you can't win Bill's book or Josh's book or Stefan's book. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys the method that we're using to announce winners today. This is something I've been looking forward to, like a child waiting for Christmas. And I don't know why, I just think it's super fun. Okay, so here we have the Wheel of Fortune.
Wow.
So the 5 winners we've selected are Robin, Vibhas, Robert, Giovanna, and Chan. So we're actually going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Now, wherever this lands, that is going to be the person who actually wins the signed copy of John's book. All right?
All
Ready?
Ready.
Drum roll. All right, let's do this.
Who's it?
The winner is Robin. Congratulations, Robin.
Go, Robin.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to remove my screen now. There we go. A lot of windows to operate with. And John, thank you so much for your time. People are saying they're having fun here. They're clapping. Actually, guys, if you're liking the talk, please do that virtual clap thing. That would help us get more people as well. So John, thank you so much for your time. We're actually going to go ahead and bring on our very next speaker. So thank you again. We'll see you soon.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ravit, who is our next speaker and what is our next book?
Okay, so next book is The Economics of Data Analytics and Digital Transformation. Data Analytics and Digital Transformation. And it's by Bill Chomarzo. He is the Big Data Dean, the Dean of Big Data. I should be actually telling his all the salutation properly. So here we go. Bill Chomarzo is the Dean of Big Data at University of San Francisco School of Management, Executive Fellow and an Honorary Professor at the School of Business and Economics at the National University of Ireland, Galway. He's the author of I don't know how many books, but he has written tons of books in data, and this is his latest release by Packt, The Economics of Data Analytics and Digital Transformation. And his interesting topic for today is why companies suck at monetizing their data. So yes.
Awesome. And look, on that note, we're going to bring on Bill. Bill, we met.
I have a blue Christmas.
Singing.
Without
Yes.
you. I told you I'd sing if you weren't careful.
I love it. I love it. Hey, don't stop. We can sing all day. We can.
I have only got 6 minutes. You don't want to waste 4 of that scaring people off with my singing.
All right. So, Bill, you're going to tell us why companies suck at monetizing data. And I literally can't wait to hear your talk. But before we leave you to it, guys, if you're interested in winning the book, The Economics of Data Analytics and Digital Transformation, just like the first time, 5 people will get an ebook, 1 lucky person will get a signed hard copy. And on that note, just give us comments, questions, type in the word Bill, type in something so we can pick the winners. All right, Bill, you're all good?
That sounds good.
All right.
All right. So, I picked a topic that I have gotten very intimate with the past few months here. I've been talking to a lot of different companies about a chief data officer role. In particular, I like to term that the chief data monetization officer role. And what I've observed over these past couple of months is so many companies are just awful at monetizing their data. And 3 things I saw as common patterns across these organizations that really suck at monetizing data. Number 1, they think data monetization is a technology conversation. Right? They think that it's the responsibility of the CIO or the chief data officer to drive the data monetization. Now, that's like blaming the chief financial officer for your revenue problems, right? Just because the chief financial officer counts the beans, right, and tells you how much revenue you have, doesn't mean it's their responsibility to fix revenue problems. No, we know if you have a revenue problem, you're going to bring together sales and marketing and product and services and support, right? You're going to bring together all these different organizations to solve a revenue problem. Solving a revenue problem is a business problem. It isn't the chief financial officer's problem. That's the same thing with data monetization. Thinking that it is the CIO's responsibility and that they're to blame when you don't have successful data monetization is the same analogy as blaming the CFO for your revenue shortfalls. So the first challenge here I see in organizations is they don't think about data as a business asset. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a second. So number one fallacy and problem is they think data monetization is a technology issue. Number two is they just lack the people experience methodology for doing that. Right? They just don't have any experience doing this. They don't know. For so long, these organizations have treated data as a cost to be minimized. And so they haven't really thought about how do I exploit the economic value of data and analytics to drive business use cases and operational use cases. So they don't have experience, they don't have the skill sets, and they don't have a methodology. By the way, I can solve those problems for you. But number three, and what's probably more discerning and concerning as I talk to these organizations is that they don't realize that today they are already in the middle of a data monetization war. They don't know and realize that companies around them, their competitors and soon-to-be competitors, are already leveraging data and analytics to take advantage of the market, to disrupt business models, to disintermediate customer relationships, and to reinvent their value chains. Right? All companies have data, by the way. Even small companies have data. The difference isn't having data. The value isn't how you use that. And so these things permeate the organization. And as I thought about writing my book here, I had explored a couple of different titles. First off, I thought, well, maybe I'll call this book the Chief Data Officer's Toolkit, because the data officer needs a toolkit around driving value. And I thought, well, maybe I can make it broader. All right, let's talk about maybe providing a data monetization toolkit, because it's a toolkit for monetizing data. And then I realized both of those suffered from the same problem that I've already encountering, which is we keep framing this as a technology challenge. And so the reason why I wrote this book is because it's about economics. What's the most powerful force in business and society? It's economics. Economics is about the creation of wealth and value. And so I wanted to reframe the book, and I want to reframe the conversation when I talk to customers, that it's about the creation of value and wealth. And to have that conversation around value and wealth, to have a value conversation with a customer, the conversation must start with the business executives. It must start by understanding what is it the company is trying to achieve, right? How do they make money? Are they trying to improve customer retention, reduce operational downtime, reduce inventory costs, right? There's all kinds of cases here, use cases that companies can go after where data and analytics can provide economic value. And let me cap it here with one last final point. If we believe that data is the catalyst for the economic growth in the 21st century, then we need to start treating data as an analytic asset. And we need to ask ourselves this really fundamental question, which is how effective is our organization at leveraging data and analytics and the unique economic characteristics of data and analytics to power our business and operational models? Again, think about data and analytics from an economics perspective. Data never wears out. It can be used over and over again at an unlimited number of times at zero marginal cost. And if you engineer your analytics correctly, you can build analytics that are continuously learning and adapting, that are actually appreciating, not depreciating in value the more they're used. So when we change this frame, and maybe why organizations suck around data monetization, because they're talking about data monetization when instead they should be talking about how do I exploit the unique economic characteristics of data and analytics to power my business and operational use cases. Thank you for your time.
Amazing.
Oh,
This is
so
amazing,
Bill, so we should just pop up when you're done. Is that it?
I guess so. I mean, you want me to sing some more? You better pop up quickly. You better ask me some questions.
That's amazing. We do have several questions for you here, but Ravit, I think you had a question before we go to the live audience.
Yes. Just one question, Bill. And it is a very interesting question I've always wanted to ask you. How many books have you actually authored till date? Because I know there are tons.
Yeah, this is actually my fourth one. I wrote, my first one was called Big Data, and it was written very early in the big data stages. And then my second book is called the Big Data Mba, and that's the book that I use to teach. And actually, it's used across a number of universities across the world. It's used in engineering classes, it's used in data science classes, and of course, it's used in business classes. And then I wrote a third book called The Art of Thinking Like a Data Scientist, which I controlled that when I self-published. I wanted to have a price that was really cheap so I could get it into the hands of a lot of students, because it's basically a workbook. But this book really culminates everything that I've done. And it's around this idea of economics, right? It's this economic value that's so unique and so few companies get it. When I have this conversation with customers, I talk about how you have this asset. What if you had an asset? What if you had a barrel of oil that never ran out, that never depleted? You use that barrel of oil across an unlimited number of use cases. What would you do? You all look at me like I got lobsters crawling out of my ear. Right? It's an incredible source of value, and so few companies really understand it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill. And I know Bill and I were just live, what was it, last week? So I got a chance to talk to you for like a whole hour. It was amazing. And we have a lot of questions coming in. I'll go over to Sven because it's about the book. Bill, do you talk about data drift at all in your book? I don't know what data drift is.
Yeah, it's actually, we talk about model drift in the book a bit, but I'm actually writing a blog right now that really gets into this more. I mean, model drift is always a problem, but the bigger problem that we're seeing now, and unfortunately this came up, I'm working on a couple of data ethics work groups across the US, and one of them is how do you have fairness in your AI models? How do you ensure that your AI models don't suffer from a confirmation bias? And so while data drift's important, model drift is equally important. And I'll just give you a hint on the blog topic, which is you need to be able to instrument and measure and learn from your false positives and your false negatives, right? Because your AI models will continue to just auger into conformed biases unless you understand the false positives. By the way, false positives are very easy to measure, I believe. False negatives are the gotcha. And I would tell you that if you can't architect and measure for false negatives, you are leaving money on the table, M-O-T-T, money on the table when you don't understand.
You don't want that.
Yeah. Anyway, you got me excited about it.
Unless it's our table and we're going to take it later. So we're just putting it there to rest it. We do have more questions, but actually before we go to the next question, I'm going to bring John back for just a couple of minutes because I know you guys are buddies and stuff. So hey, John, welcome back. I know you guys know each other for, I don't know how many years. We started talking about this.
I think it's around 35 at this point.
35 years. Wow, that's amazing. And now look, you're back together on a live show. Oh, look, we can't see Bill. He's struggling with the Christmas decoration. Oh, sorry about that. So maybe you both can answer this question or touch on your comment here from Sneha. How can data monetization be used at a larger scale by governments and international organizations?
Bill, you started out.
Yeah, so again, I believe that the data monetization conversation has to start with the business or operational executives and trying to understand what their biggest problems are. So, and out of COVID, for example, we're going to see all kinds of these governments and institutions come up with all kinds of problems, around how do I do more with less? How do I have more informed policy and operational decisions? How do I get away from overly generalized decisions that are basically trapping members of our society? So the conversation, John said that his book as well, is that you have to start with the business. This is not about building neural network models, right? You've got a lot of people who can build really compelling neural network models or reinforcement learning models or whatever you write. It has to start with the business or the operations and understanding what's important to them so you can focus that data and analytics resources and power at those key problems.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been actually working on data monetization through our analytics efforts. So what we've been doing is taking data from the COVID data from Johns Hopkins, Google Drive time data, lots and lots of external data sources, and bringing them together in a way that it presents it to the subject matter experts and the line of business executives so they can make better decisions. So they're monetizing data and they don't know it. So after they've been using it for a while, we get together and say, well, this is what you've actually been doing. And they say, oh, wow, we had no idea. Well, that's kind of you want to backdoor it with them, because if you're saying we're doing this data monetization project, they're like, I can't invest in that. I need to get more people in the front door. So we help them get more people in the front door. And then we say, hey, you did that through data monetization.
Yeah, thank you both for your input. I just wanted to backtrack a little bit. For those who are not familiar, how do you guys know each other? Just provide some background. I want to know why I want the audience to know why you're both here right now.
I applied to a company called Metaphor back in the early 80s. Bill was already working there. And I had interviewed with Bill and a number of people, and they all came back and said, he's a really nice kid, but he doesn't know anything. And I spent the next year meeting with who would end up being my boss. I went out there every week for a year and met with him and convinced him that he needed to hire me. And Jay McGrath was the guy. He brought me on board. He said, I'm going to give you a chance. I think this is a really bad idea. And from then on, I've been in the data and analytics space for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yes, amazing. And Larissa here says amazing data buddies. All right.
That's our new title. I'm going to get that URL right after this.
There you go. Okay, so John, we're gonna let you hop back in, and Bill, don't go just yet.
I'm not gonna move from right here.
Yes, don't go. Okay, so Bill, let's take one more question, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our little raffle. Question here from Arun. So what are your thoughts on training the model in manufacturing? I'm finding this requires human intervention, for example, to train what a failure condition looks like in the data.
No, that's a great question. One of the challenges that we ran into, and especially in industrial space, is that failures are rare. And so when you use a supervised machine learning technique, you don't have enough actual machine failures to really drive the model. And so what we did is we actually used unsupervised techniques to flag situations that were indicative of failures, and then built our models around that. Again, I think that maybe you can pop the question back up to make sure I didn't address it. We saw this problem in very large industrial situations where failures are rare. And so we had to go one step back. You can almost call it, data engineering to look at creating elements that were predictive of failures that we could then train the models, not just on failures, but on data sets or occurrences that look like they were predictors of failure.
Okay.
No problem. That's a good question.
Yes, great. There was a comment here that I thought was funny from Scott. So Scott's here, and he says it's because when they met, there were only 9 people in the data business. I wonder if Scott was around as well. So.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
I love this comment here. Never thought working in data is so cool until watching this show. So, Ravit, you're making data cool, man. Especially with those glasses. Let's see, just one last thing. Roberto says, too frequently people monetize data without knowing, and that's why we need great methodologies to measure.
That's a good point, because that's why I think when we start talking about value instead of monetization, I think we have that economics conversation. We think about economics about value creation. I think you're right. People don't realize that in many cases they're already doing this. And this is just kind of elevating, saying, oh, wait, I just got to do more of what I'm doing in a more methodical way, for example. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Bill, at this point, we're going to do the raffle. I think you can do some singing while I pull up my screen again.
I love blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue thinking.
I didn't want this to end. I kind of dragged it on. So thank you. All right. We've got 5 winners for the Economics of Data Analytics and Digital Transformation book here. We've got David, DJ, Maria, Brian, and Katina, congratulations. You are all receiving an e-copy of the book, but one of you are going to get a signed hard copy in the mail. So let's see, who's it going to be?
All the best, guys.
Here we go. Click, 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 click.
And the winner is Katina. Congratulations, Katina. We're going to reach out soon.
Congratulations, Katina. Hope you enjoyed the book. Hope everybody enjoys the book. I will end by saying I think my favorite chapter in the book, Ravit, the question you had asked John, which I'm going to answer. My favorite chapter in the book was the chapter I didn't expect to write, which is chapter 9. After I wrote everything else, I realized there was something missing. I won't tell you what chapter 9 is about. You have to read the book to find out. But that's my favorite chapter because I did not realize when I started the book it would probably become the single most important chapter in the book.
I see what chapter 9 is, and I'm not going to tell people. Get the book. So, Bill, before we let you go, there is another comment from Scott. I just have to let you know, due to the singing, he has just canceled his LinkedIn subscription.
Scott, you're too cruel.
Well, yes. Yeah, you can use this to wipe your tears. Bill, yes, you're getting a lot of great comments. You did great. Thank you so much. And at this time, we'll thank you for participating in our DATAcated Holiday Book Party. And we're going to go on to our very next speaker. So, Bill, thank you so much again.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, Ravit, who do we have up next?
The next one is about Tableau. Obviously, he's the author of Learning Tableau 2020, Joshua Milligan. And just to let folks be aware about this, that they have, if they actually want to, just to remind this, that if they want to win this book, they need to write Joshua's name in the comment section or maybe shoot a question with his name. So we can randomly pick the winners, and like Kate does with the raffle, with the Kate, very cool raffle, must say. It's very enjoyable, and it gets me heart beating, even if it's my name is just not in there, but I still feel that, oh, who's it? It's amazing. So Joshua Milligan is a Hall of Fame of Tableau Zen Master and 2017 Iron Visualization Global finalist. His passion is training, mentoring, and helping people gain insights and make decisions based on their data through data visualization using Tableau, and data cleaning and structuring using Tableau preparation. He's a principal consultant at Technonian Data Solutions, where he has served clients in numerous industries since 2004. His topic for the day, the lightning speak, will be about the topic A, storytelling with the visualization analytics. So yes, here we go.
And his book, Ravi, did you mention his book yet? I was multitasking.
Yes, Learning Tableau 2020, and that's the book.
So for those who know me,
yes,
for those who know me, know I love Tableau, and I've been reading through this book. I absolutely love it. So I'm actually going to bring Joshua up on our virtual stage here. Hello, Joshua.
Hi. Thank you, Ravit, for the introduction. Thank you, Kate, for hosting. This is awesome. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to your session. And, Ravit has provided an intro. If you missed something, please go ahead and add to it.
All right. No, that was perfect. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to talk about storytelling with visual analytics, and since it's visual storytelling, I have to share.
Yes, absolutely. So as soon as your screen is up, Ravit and I will pull a magic show and disappear for about 10 minutes, and we'll be back with Q&A and giveaways after that.
All right, perfect. Yeah, now I'm trying to figure out which monitor's which. Let's go with this one and see.
All right, there we go. I've got your screen up, and there goes Ravit, and there goes.
All right. Well, storytelling with visual analytics. I saw this XKCD just recently, and to me, this really encapsulates the power of visual analytics. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, he says, you don't have to worry about the statistics behind the data if you can show it. not entirely true. You do have to worry about if the data is valid. You do have to know if it's statistically solid. But it does illustrate the point that if you can show, that is more powerful than just telling. And so today, what I want to think about is, how do we tell a story with data? How do we tell it visually? Because a lot of times, as I work in the industry, I'll look at clients and I'll see dashboards that look like this, and most of them look even better than this. But you see something like this and you think, what does it mean? What do I do with this? How do I interact with this? But even beyond that, what decisions do I make based on this? And there's a lot of value here. There's a lot of data here. But what if we could take something like this, that's just a widget dashboard, and I see lots of different things. I see supply and demand. But what if I turned that into a story? Something like this. It's the same data, but I've changed the way that I'm showing it, even just slightly. I mean, that same chart was there before, but now I'm telling you what it means. The fact that we had more demand than supply means that we missed out on $12 million of revenue in the 2018 season, and that leads to further opportunities and challenges that we need to address. How did we do in 2019? How are we doing this year? What decisions do we need to make now? And those are all aspects that we could show visually and call out. So let's think a little bit about what a story really is. Back in school, I saw something like this narrative arc. You start out with an introduction where you are introduced to the characters and the setting. You have a crisis, which sort of starts off the action, a turning point, and after that turning point, the decisions you make or the forces that are set in motion that send you straight to the climax, and then you have some resolution and a conclusion. In fact, if you think of an illustration of this, I like to think of The Empire Strikes Back. Right, so you've got an introduction and you've got the crawl that introduces you to the rebels and what's going on. A little bit of introduction of the characters, but we don't need a lot because we already know them. And then you have a crisis, or maybe a series of crises, some action that kind of starts out and gets the story moving. Then you have a turning point. And this is my favorite part of The Empire Strikes Back, because the turning point is so clear. Luke has to make a decision. Does he abandon his training and rush off to save his friends, or does he stay and become a fully authentic Jedi Knight? And then he'll be able to face Vader. Well, he rushes off, and that leads us straight to the climax of the movie. Spoiler alert, Vader is his father. And that's the climax, which leads to a conclusion. Now, every story has a conclusion. Sometimes the conclusion is very brief, as in this movie, because it's to be continued. There's going to be more to the story, but there still is a resolution that you know that you're at the end. So how does this relate to data storytelling, visual analytics storytelling? It's the same basic thing, but I like to simplify it a little bit. I like to think of the introduction as the context. And then you have the narrative, the story you're going to tell. That's sort of your crisis and your turning point. And then your climax and your conclusion, that's a call to action. That's the decisions that need to be made and the next steps that need to be taken. So let's think about how this might look. Context. There's context for you, the storyteller, and that includes things like the data itself. How much data do you have? Is it complete? What gaps are there? Is it valid? Are there things that you need to call out that are invalid in the data? Do you need to do any modeling of the data, or any predictive modeling, statistical modeling? All of that is context that you need to be aware of. How is the data collected? There's a whole talk on the context of the data. You also need to be aware of your audience. Who are you going to be telling a story to? What are their needs and desires? What do they want to know in the data? What do they need to know in the data? And what decisions do they need to make? And then you also have to understand the context of how you're going to deliver this story. Is it on a laptop? Is it on a large screen display, a mobile device, a projector? or maybe a printout? Is it going to be a report that's delivered monthly? Is it going to be something that needs to be interactive? So lots of context there for you to understand. But then, as you start to tell the story, you need to understand the context for your audience. Take a look at this visualization. So this is sort of bare minimum context. I've given the time frame. You can see it's 2016 profit. It's March through October, and it's East and West regions. So you can see there's a little bit of context there. I have to know whether the audience knows what a region is, whether they know what profit I'm talking about. Are there other regions that should be part of the context for you to understand? All of that needs to be thought about. This is just bare minimum context. What parts of the data do you need to show? What parts do you need to emphasize? So after you think about all of that in your context, that's your introduction. And now we move into the narrative. And so if you take this as your starting place, this is the introduction to the data for your audience, but now you want to tell a story. Well, there are lots of different ways you can tell a story with the data. Some of it is in what you emphasize. So look at this. Same chart, but now I'm emphasizing the East region. I've called it out using color. I've also changed the title to say it's a decline of profit in the East region. I've kept the West region in there so that you can have some context and some understanding, but I'm starting to shape the story in the way that I want to communicate it. Look at this, same data, but I'm emphasizing a whole new part of the story. Profits plunge in the East region. Visually, I'm communicating that by changing the axis. Now, there's a whole nother talk that we could have if we had more time about ethics and about the dangers inherent in data visualization. Notice that just changing the axis can change how it looks. Is it really a plunge in profit? I have to be careful in the way I tell the story, but it's possible to emphasize one thing or the other. Or how about this? Now I'm emphasizing the West region, and I'm telling you the profit grew 10 times in 2016. I mean, look at it in April, it's less than $1 million, and now in October, we're over 10 million. So all the same data, but I'm telling drastically different stories. Now, sometimes we leave it here. We think we've done our job because we've communicated the data, we've communicated some insight into the data, but oftentimes we need to go farther. We need to take it to its conclusion. We need to have a climax and a conclusion that calls people to action, that doesn't just highlight what the data says, but highlights what they need to do or what they need to consider. So here's our data again, profit for the East and West regions. But notice that just by adding a little bit to the visualization, I can tell a story and I can call out some action. Here I've added a little bit more context so that you know that in the West region in August, we implemented a new pricing model. And you can see what impact that may have had. I'll need to validate if that's really the correct correlation. But assuming that it is, then the question that I've raised up there at the top, should East adopt the new pricing model? So I've stated it in the form of the question, and now the executives in the company are going to have to grapple with that decision. They may decide not to. They may decide that East does need to. They may decide that that their analysts need to go back and look at the data even more to see if that's really the case. But at any rate, I didn't just leave it as here's what's in the data. I said, here's a possible outcome of what's in the data. Here's a possible decision that needs to be made. And many times that's where we miss what we could achieve in data storytelling. So what did you just experience in this talk? You just experienced a story. We had an introduction where we introduced visualization and the power behind visual analytics. We had a crisis where we said, could we do better than what we've been doing? Had a turning point where we said, we need to decide that we are going to do better and not just leave it at the bare minimum. And that brought us to the climax of realizing that we can have a call to action in our data storytelling. And then, as with all stories, this one has a conclusion as well.
Amazing. Josh, this was super insightful. And thanks
Yes,
for doing this.
I love it. Storytelling is my favorite. I love Tableau. You know that. So you're definitely speaking my language. You have so many positive comments and questions just flying in. A lot of fire signs. Why is everyone saying Josh is on fire? Are you something that I should know about, or you're getting a lot of fire icons, emojis here?
Oh wow, no, it's I love it, passionate about it, and definitely love using Tableau for this sort of thing.
Okay, awesome. So, Ravit, any questions before I hop over to the live audience?
Yes, just one question. Okay, before I go on to the question, I know there's Dominic Shekshaft who says, nice meta, Josh, which looks superb. So, okay, on the question front, Josh, I wanted to ask, why Tableau and why not other BI tool?
Yeah, no, I love the fact that there are a lot of tools out there. When I started, there was not much of anything. I mean, SSRS and Crystal Reports, and and things that were so tedious and so old school. Now there are a lot of possibilities. What I love about Tableau is the overall paradigm. So it's not pick your chart type and try to make the data fit into it. It's drag and drop and instant response, and you're having a conversation with the data. So I've highlighted data storytelling, but there is so much more to it. There's the prep of the data, which Tableau makes very easy. There's the exploration and discovery of the data, and Tableau does all of it visually, and so that's amazing. And then when you get to the data storytelling side, Tableau really shines in terms of being able to share that story with the end users.
Awesome, thank you. So, comment here from Naman saying data visualization is really an art. It's an art of data storytelling. A perfect visualization does not require any explanation. Really awesome. Yeah, I love that transition that you showed, the before and after, how you can actually tell the story just with a few tweaks, and then how you can make your audience focused by using some different attributes. A question here from Nicole: what is the best way to learn data visualization?
That's a great question. Well, if you're going to use Tableau, I would definitely recommend this book.
Get the book.
But seriously, I think that the best way is to really jump in and do it. Find someone who can mentor you. I think that's a key. It's hard to jump into it on your own, but learning some of the tools. Learning how to work with data, increasing your data literacy, and everyone learns in different ways. I mean, some people love classes, some people love books, but I do really strongly recommend that you find someone who can be a mentor and who can guide you through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Now here's a question that is on my mind as well, because I know when we use any BI tool or software, we have a wish list of, man, I wish Tableau could do this, or I wish Power BI could do this. So any new features that you're looking forward to in Tableau, whether they're coming out or not, right? What's on your wish list?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because the one thing that I love that they have started to do is this concept of layers. So the ability to layer visualizations, or within a single visualization, to layer data on top of each other. So the newest version has that ability with geospatial visualizations. You can layer many different types of visuals on a map, but that's coming to every type of visualization in Tableau, and that's exciting, because that opens up all kinds of possibilities for visualizing the data and relating data with itself.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And Trudy is getting the book like right now, so awesome.
Awesome.
Trudy, let's see if you won. Maybe you win. Maybe you won. I'm kidding. Get the book. Get the book. Let's see. I'm going to. There's a question here for me that I'm afraid to answer from Nisha about what's my favorite data visualization tool, because it used to be Tableau, but then I started exploring so many other tools. So at this point, I like to call myself product agnostic, because I absolutely love all the visualization tools. But in full disclosure, if I had to make a dashboard like right now, it would be Tableau, just because I know where everything is and I can quickly get it done, customize it, format it, and be done with it. question here from Roberto. So, how to challenge business leaders' point of view without giving them the impression that you're complicating things? Do you have any examples?
Do I have any examples? Yeah, without naming names, maybe. Yeah, this is definitely a challenge, and I think sometimes as an analyst, I'm invited in to challenge things, but sometimes you find out that's not the case. No, people don't want to be challenged, and I think being able to visually tell that story, and then to be aware of the audience, to be aware of what they're really looking for, and to realize sometimes I do actually need to leave off the call to action, or I need to tone it down because they don't want that direct confrontation. But if I can point out what's there, and I can do it subtly, or I can raise it as a question, should we consider this, and not you should do this, sometimes that will go over a lot better.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And we'll take one final question here from Dominic. So, any view from Josh on relative pros and cons of storytelling power of graphs versus tabular dashboards? Do dashboards with more data but less curated than a graph potentially give more storytelling power back into the listeners than the presenter?
Yeah, it depends a lot on the audience themselves. I mean, how data literate they are and what they can do with that data. I don't have any problems with giving a tabular view of data. Sometimes that's very important to be able to see exact values and to be able to look up values. If what I'm doing is providing them a table so that they're going to take it to a visualization tool, that could be useful if that's their goal. But I could just be creating a lot of extra work for them if I can show them what's in the data first, and then what I love to do actually is to give people both. Give them the visualization that shows what I have found in the data, but give them the data as well so that they can make their own discoveries.
Okay, awesome. So the moment that everyone's been waiting for, it's time for the giveaway. So Josh, should we ask you to sing as well, like build it, or?
Oh wow, no. I don't want anyone else to cancel their LinkedIn subscriptions.
Okay, yeah, that is dangerous. Okay, so the 5 winners that we have here are Amit, Ivan, Neha, Mike, and Al. Congratulations to all 5 of you. You're all receiving the ebook version of the book. And now we're going to go ahead and do the little spinner and see who's getting the signed copy of the book.
Yeah. All the best, guys. Who's it?
And the winner is
Amit.
First one, congratulations. You're getting a signed copy of the book. Awesome. I could literally do this all day, by the way, just spinning that wheel and see what happens next. So, Joshua, you're still getting so many questions and comments. If you want to hop over to LinkedIn and keep answering those via comments, please go ahead and do that.
All right.
Well, thank you. Wish you happy holidays and look forward to our next speaker.
All right.
Thanks,
thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
All right. So, all right, Ravit, who do we have up next?
We have the author of Machine Learning for Algorithmic Trading. It's none other than Stephen Jansen. He has created this huge book for us. It's Machine Learning for Algorithmic Trading. And about Stephen Jansen, he's the founder and CEO of Applied AI. He advises Fortune 500 companies, investment firms, and startups across industries on data and AI strategy, building data science teams, and developing end-to-end machine learning solutions for a broad range of business problems. Also, today's topic for Stephen Jansen, what we'll be hearing from him is about machine learning for trading workflow. It's almost been 4 months now. His book is out. I'm closely working with him on this book, and I know the response on algorithmic trading is amazing. This is a little away from data, but totally about winning some money. We can smell cash when we talk about algorithmic trading. So, yes.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and bring Stefan up on stage. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Stefan.
Hi, everybody worldwide. How's it going?
Hello. So, Stefan, before we kick things off, maybe Ravit, can you tell us how many pages is that book? It looks massive.
Oh, it is huge. It says almost 790 pages.
Wow.
What a
Stefan, how long did
masterpiece.
this take?
And that's after compressing the text because it wouldn't fit. So it's actually more like 850 pages total. So there's a lot of material in there.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, I'm really looking forward to your talk. So one question, are you sharing screen or you're just?
Yeah, I will show actually the website of the book. So.
Okay, awesome. So you go ahead and pull that up, and then Ravit and I will disappear for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back with Q&A and giveaways.
All right.
Just Stefan, take care.
Okay.
So you should be seeing my window. Does it work?
Yep, 1 second.
Very cool.
Windows now. All right, there we go. So we're
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody who has joined and is still around. I hope this is last but not least a little chat about what's in the book. As you've heard, it's a book about machine learning and how you can apply it to trading. And that's a topic that has been growing like wildfire over the last 3, 4, 5 years for a number of reasons, mostly many new data sets that emerged, different types of data beyond what finance used to apply its techniques to over the last few decades, like market data and fundamental data. Now we have all these alternative data sets. So many institutions that had not done much quantitative or machine learning trading are experimenting now. So there's a lot of interest in the investment industry, hedge funds, asset managers, and the like. And so since I've been working in the field, I thought it would be a good time to maybe put a few ideas together so that you can yourself experiment with that. And the good thing is that there are many more open source tools available now to work with machine learning and especially its application to trading strategies. So you can now do this at home, what before you needed to work at a large institution. So what's in the book? The book is, as you've just heard, it's fairly large. It's also the second edition. There's over 20 chapters in there. And it really emphasizes practical applications along with a certain workflow. And I want to talk a little bit what that workflow looks like. It also covers how you apply these techniques to a bunch of different data sets. As I just said, that's really what's novel in trading now, that now we work with text data, with image data, and also numerical data from different sources than what we had in the past. So a key aspect of the book is that it sort of contains over a GitHub repo, or it comes with a companion GitHub repo that has over 150 notebooks, so that you can experiment yourself with these techniques. And let me just briefly say what's special about using machine learning in the trading domain. One aspect is that you always need to think end-to-end in terms of how are you actually going to use the results of any model that you want to build. Of course, that's something you always want to do in data science. You always want to think about how the model predictions are ultimately used for business decisions and the like. But in trading, it's completely useless to build a model that predicts something if you then don't also check whether those predictions would actually have been tradable, whether you could actually have bought or sold some assets in the market, and that would have been profitable in the end, right? Because you have to decide on many other things. How long are you going to hold them? What's it going to cost you? How do you manage the risk, and so forth? So there's this end-to-end aspect where you always have to think about the strategy that is going to use any signal that a machine learning model generates, and then how that strategy is going to fare in the market, from a bottom line perspective, so you get to smell the cash that Ravit was talking about. So that's one thing, the end-to-end aspect. And then the other aspect is that trading is competitive. So there are no ready-made recipes that you can run and classify your 3 iris colors and it just works. You may find things that work over certain periods in the past, but there's no guarantee that it will work going forward in the market. So you have to innovate yourself, right? If you want to be successful, you have to come up with new ideas. And that's kind of the basic idea of the book, that it shows you many different ways of doing things so that you can recombine them, build on them, and develop strategies of your own that hopefully work for you and maybe your employer and, family and, whoever you want to benefit there. So that's kind of the high level of the book. You see there's a link to a GitHub repo. Just if you're interested in the subject matter, then here at my name and then machine learning for trading at GitHub, you find a ton of things to work with that you can just run and modify and take as a starting point. So what's this machine learning for trading workflow about? right? So as often it starts with an idea. In the trading domain, it's usually an idea about what is actually my investment universe? So what do I want to focus on? Stocks, bonds, emerging markets, equities, maybe commodities, and so forth. And so what segment inside this asset class, right? Maybe I want a large cap, or medium cap, or small cap equities, or distressed bonds, or what have you, right? So there's a bunch of different ways to segment that and slice the sort of global financial markets into different investment universe. And for how long do you want to trade? You want to do a strategy that holds things for a few seconds, minutes, hours, days, month, right? So these are decisions you make early on, and then you look at, okay, if that's my strategy and my target sort of corner of the investment industry, what kind of data underpin that, right? And of course, you need market data, you need fundamental data that tell you the sort of the economic conditions of your assets and its environment, but also you need maybe alternative data. Maybe you want the financial statements of the firms, maybe you want social media, maybe you want other sources like satellite images that tell you how commodities might fare, such as corn crops next year, and so forth. So there's a whole, in the book, there are several chapters about how you source these data and work with them, because it's extremely important that you make sure that the data you get really reflect the reality at that point in time back in the past. And it's easy to get that wrong. There are many adjustments made to data after the fact, and you just have to be clear that you know them, because if you make a mistake here, everything else down the line, of course, is going to fail. After that, if you got that part straight, then there is a piece of the workflow that smells like standard machine learning, feature engineering, model development, cross-validation, etc. But of course, there are some specifics that apply to trading. The time series nature of the data. There's a lot of features that have been engineered in finance over the past, that you want to build on. There's decades literally of research, and out of that very often come things that don't work. So at least you want to know what has failed in the past, so you don't spin your wheels and reinvent the wheels that got stuck in the mud. So you certainly want to build on the science there, often in the sense that you need to do something else. If you got sort of your heads around the model building aspect, and the model is predictive of something, maybe the returns, and you can identify reasonably well which assets will do better and which will do worse over some horizon of interest, then you're ready to start to design a strategy around that, because now you got to act on these signals, right? You got to maybe buy some stocks or bonds or commodities and sell some, so go short. So you have maybe a market neutral strategy. You got to figure out what the proportions are of each of these assets to manage the risk in the portfolio that results from this, right? For which also you can use machine learning, by the way. And then you're in the market, right? Then you start trading, and then things move very quickly. Prices go up and down, your portfolio value changes, and you start iterating, right? Because of course, the time moves forward, you get new model predictions, you need to decide how you act on those. Are you going to sell those that don't look that good anymore in the model, and so forth, right? So then you got this kind of quick iteration. And all of that also provides you feedback to maybe change the model overall. Maybe the model stops working, or the predictions, the predictive accuracy declines, and so forth. So there's a bunch of things that you need to keep in mind. And that's really what the book is organized around, right? So how do you implement this workflow from start to finish? And I'm going to very briefly go through the sort of an outline of the table of contents, so you see what you can find in the book, right? And so the first element of the workflow is covered in part 1. There you look at the traditional market and fundamental data sources. It's the prices and maybe corporate earnings statements and the like, so income statements, balance sheets, and so forth, macro data. Then there's the whole part of alternative data, text data, and image data, and what have you. And how do you work with those, and how do you build on what finance has developed over the last decade in terms of know-how, how to engineer features that may be, somewhat predictive, but maybe if you have a lot of those, you can actually make a profitable dent in your area of interest here. And then we move on to the actual machine learning part. And that's where we bind together this machine learning aspect with the backtesting of a trading strategy part. So there's the whole using scikit-learn and LightGBM, this basic part to build all sorts of sort of fundamental machine learning models. And then there's the backtesting aspect where we use zipline and backtrader to design a strategy and then see how that strategy would have worked over different periods of the past. And you see these images on the right here, they kind of highlight the evaluation of certain strategies and tell you whether they were profitable, how risky they were, and so forth. And that is kind of what we cover in this part. Then there's a section on natural language processing, right? As I mentioned, alternative data is a very hot topic. So it's really interesting to use all these novel sources of information, right? Because in financial markets, everything's about information, trying to know more and better what the future will bring. And some signals might be buried in unstructured sources like tests. So you can work with text data, you can parse it and translate it into numerical features and do sentiment analysis, as well as topic modeling to extract interesting areas to maybe make large amounts of maybe financial research documents more manageable. And you can also use more novel features like word embeddings or the recent transformer architectures to develop much more powerful models that classify text or that answer questions about information in the text and so forth. So we cover that, and you can actually see how, for instance, you can use SEC filings. So, when companies report their recent business results, as well as the outlook about the future, how they can help a little bit around when they actually report their earnings to predict a little bit how the stock will react. And then finally, we jump into this deep reinforcement learning chapter, which of course is what everybody is really interested in today. And one caveat here is that financial data tends to be very noisy, right? That's due to the competitive nature in the market. There's very limited information contained about the future in this data. So little signal, lots of noise. And deep learning, of course, excels when there's unstructured signal in the data. And sometimes you got to be careful with building overly complex models in finance. Sometimes simpler things actually do work a little bit better. Nonetheless, there are some recent interesting examples how people have used fully connected networks, recurrent neural networks, convolutional neural networks, and autoencoders, and even GANs to develop interesting applications in this domains that actually work. And this section in particular replicates some papers that have been produced very recently. So there's a paper by AQR, Brian Kelly, professor at Yale, who works for AQR, which is one of the largest hedge funds, that works on how you can use autoencoders for asset pricing to extract risk factors in a nonlinear fashion, and then use the exposure of assets to these factors to actually predict prices down the road. That's really interesting, very insightful and novel. And then you can use GANs to generate synthetic data, so you can actually break out of this limitation where you have not enough training data for your model and so forth. So there's a bunch of things in there, all of which I would recommend for you to take a look at. And the holidays look like just the right time to do exactly that. So
awesome. Well, Stefan, thank you so much. Honestly, I'll tell you, this was more technical than I can understand. I tried my best, but we do have some really great comments and questions to address. Ravit, thanks for showing the book. That's literally the only book I don't have, because it's still in the mail and Amazon is like, oh, we're doing Christmas shipping. Come on, give me my book, Amazon. But thank you so much for providing that tutorial and walking through that workflow. Very good question that I also have. Sven is asking, you clearly know a lot about developing machine learning models to make money in stock markets. Are there any computational tools which will let me upload your book directly into my brain?
Well, there are some recipes how you can make a soup out of the book, and then, I've heard, I haven't tried it, but some people swear on it, so maybe I want to go that route.
Also, somebody else asked, and I can't find the comment, but is there an audiobook version of this book, and how long would that be?
Yeah, maybe that's something to try. If there's more interest, maybe people can start voting for it. We'll consider, I'm not sure my voice, at least, maybe you like my German accent, maybe that gives it a little twist. So, we'll see. If there's enough, if there are requests, please let me know. We'll take a look.
Awesome. Question from Jagdish. So how do you avoid overfitting the machine learning model to a specific period in time, so a regime, which would make it less generalizable to other regimes?
Yeah, so that's exactly the key risk why having more data is really essential. So whenever you develop a model, just like in any other domain, really, you want the input to be representative of what you expect in the future. Like clearly, if you train the model on the financial crisis alone, for instance, you wouldn't expect the model to be super successful in the years after when the environment is completely different. So usually the advice is to make sure that in whatever goes into the model, you have enough information that's broad enough to really kind of capture what you really expect the next year or whenever you want to use the model will come around the corner. But that's just literally like in any other domain as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So another question here from Greg. So most modern trading seems to run on machine learning apps. Do your strategies account for people trying to trick them into practice? In practice, sorry.
So I think there's actually still quite a bit of manual trading in the market from institutions that I know. It's slowly getting crowded out. I don't think it's necessarily people trying to trick systems, but you will see interesting, and you've seen that in the past, flash crashes and the like, when multiple machines act together, that can lead to a sudden price move in a certain direction, which is not necessarily a good thing. So that happens from time to time. The models that we develop, they don't react necessarily to these typically very quick interactions. That's simply due to the fact that it's hard to actually get tick data, because if you want to account for these like fast movements in the market, you have to operate with data at a very high frequency, which means it's a lot of data, which makes it not very practical. So
yeah,
that's a very good point.
So Robert says he's going to check out your GitHub. Do you want to remind people what your GitHub is so they can go find you there?
Yeah, absolutely. So either you go to the website simply, that's mlfortrading.io. There's a link to the website right here, to the GitHub right here.
Let me put that back in there.
And the GitHub itself is simply, if you just Google my name and machine learning for trading, it should be pretty easy to find. I already really encourage you, if you work with the
lose you guys?
Do you still hear me? So everything okay here with the sound? So I'm just saying, if you want to work with the GitHub repo, I really encourage you to, if you find anything that you don't understand or there are any problems, just raise a GitHub issue. I respond and either fix bugs or try to help you along the way. So it's a good platform to interact as well.
Yes, so everyone can actually go and find you at the website and the GitHub repo, Stefan. And also, just one question from my end, Stefan, that I wanted to obviously ask was, I know that you've been, you've had editions about these books, but what was the best part about the book that you actually write, you liked writing about in the book, and which is your favorite part?
Yeah, I think the second edition, the main difference, which is also what I enjoyed most, is first to have this focus on backtesting, which we had some of that in the first edition, but didn't have enough time to really build that out. So there's a lot of different examples, so you can really see how different applications work and not work. And that also gives you basically a framework that's easily modifiable, right? Because it's not about just running the code and then saying, okay, I can use this to make money, right? So there's a lot of it's a framework to play with. And then the other part is all the different research papers, especially one on synthetic data, which is really cutting edge. It literally was published last year at the New York conference by some folks at Google. And obviously GANs, this synthetic images is something that's very hip. And trying to do the same thing for financial data and basically generate financial data in an unlimited way is something that would be very useful, So that's quite interesting.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it looks like other people also had internet connection issues, and Shrudi's asking if we got the GitHub. So if you could just say that one more time.
Yeah, so it's it's basically, if you Google my name and machine learning for trading, you either find the website, which has a link to the GitHub, or you find the GitHub directly. My name on GitHub is simply Stefan-Jansen, so shouldn't be too hard to find.
Okay,
maybe there's a chat or something for folks. We can also put that up. So.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So, Stefan, at this point, we're actually going to do a giveaway. So I've got the winners all set up here, and let me go ahead and share that screen again. Thanks, Internet. It removed my screen. I'm assuming you're not going to sing like we had.
I don't want to ruin the experience for everybody, you know. So
okay, I understand.
It's been so nice so far.
Yes, it has. So congratulations to the 5 winners. We got Chavdish, Raymond, Jimmy, Neha, and Trudy. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. And so 5 of you are winning the ebook version, and 1 of these people is going to win the signed copy, hard copy in the mail. Drum roll.
All the best, everyone.
Who's it gonna be?
Who's it?
Yay.
It's Raymond.
Raymond. Congratulations, Raymond. Awesome. All right.
Cool.
Well, let me go ahead and remove my screen now. Okay. So, Stefan, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on the DATAcated Holiday Book Party.
Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks for having me. Happy holidays to everyone. Whatever your favorite holiday is, enjoy it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you online on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, Stefan. Thank you.
Okay. So for those who are still with us, we actually have an unexpected surprise guest before we close out the session. No one would have expected this, although a few people have already asked, where is this person? You're going live and he's not there. So I don't know if anybody can guess who that is. I'll give you a couple of hints. This person recently, and look, people are loving the book party. Don't leave just yet, guys. There's still a chance to win another book. Ravit.
Yes, Kate, I wanted to know who's this guest. Do you have any 5 options we can give it to the audience and they can guess who it is?
Oh, you want to put 5 options? Oh, Robert likes surprises. So hold on.
Scott says Scott.
Wait, but which Scott? Is it Scott Williams? I mean, there are I know a lot of Scotts. So let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if anybody else can guess. Trudy says, woohoo, we've got the energy here. Let's see. Mystery speaker, yes. The mystery speaker, I see him. You guys don't see him. I think we're just going to announce her. What do you think? Bring him on?
Yes, we should.
We have a winner. Oh no, not Ben. We have a winner. Robin guessed correctly. How did they know?
Hey, Scott!
There you are.
Hey, everybody. How are you? Good to see you all here. How you doing? Scott Williams, way to go. Can you hear me okay? We're here.
Yes.
Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer, thrilled to be here. No whispering today. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Ravit. Excited to crash your Packt book party with, yes, my own book. I wrote a book just for this party, telling your data story, data storytelling for data management. And as you all know, 99% buzzword free. That's a guarantee I can guarantee. Can you find the 1% in there? People are looking for it, but thrilled to be here. What an awesome set of speakers you had here. I am just thrilled to be in the same environment as some of these folks.
It was so much fun. Did you like our spinner?
John Thompson's old book here, How to Win with Intelligence, and I make a slight reference to it in my book because I say in my book, I was going to title it How to Win with Data Management, but nobody would believe me. So there you go.
Awesome. So Scott, you're giving away 3 copies of an ebook today. Am I right?
3 copies.
3 copies of an ebook.
Wow.
Yes.
We're not going to spin the spinner this time. I'm very disappointed.
Spinning. No, just showed up out of the blue. Just ready. Just happened to be ready.
The spinner is out of batteries, so we can't use the spinner anymore. Ran out of batteries, so we're gonna have to pick from the live audience. We're just gonna announce them. So Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book? Why did you write it? I know it's 99% buzzword free. What does that mean? Who's this for?
This book is for all those data managers and data scientists out there who are looking for ways to explain the strategic value of data to the business. It's about the why. It's not at all about the how. So because it's about the why, it can't be 750 pages. It has to be a nice tight book. You got to get that succinct value proposition out there. And I draw on my 20, 30, I don't know how many years it was of experience of helping C-level and business leaders understand the value of data, especially data management, and talking about how it helps why it helps their business, why it's aligned to their strategic intentions, why it should enable the vision of the company. I don't get into anything technical. I don't get into any how. Even in the data management side, I barely touch that. It's about those soft skill storytelling techniques that Joshua was also talking about. How do you convey the value in almost a conversational way, in a narrative that will capture the hearts and minds of the business stakeholders out there who you got to get into their heads. You've got to be able to get them to realize the value of what you do, because they're paying for it. And if they don't give you the money to do what you want to do, you can't do it. So we've all said the same thing. It's got to be tied to business results. And I'm all about helping people explain that when you get a minute with your CEO.
Yes, absolutely. We have a question here for you from Akash. What are those buzzwords, and isn't it more fancy to hear for the data managers when they use technical words?
No, I mean, no. So if you use a bunch of terminology to somebody who doesn't understand it, do you want to spend your first 5 minutes explaining all your new buzzwords and your new terms, or do you want to get to the point? When you have a minute with somebody or 2 minutes with somebody, it's not the time to introduce a whole bunch of new vocabulary. And if you want to speak to the business, then you need to use the language of the business. There's just no two ways about it.
All right. Well, Al wants to know, is it written in crayon? Because he has to explain stuff to Marines.
Okay? No, but I do have some cartoons in here, which was like the funnest part of the book. So I have like, here's a cartoon, right? You're going up to your CEO. Oh, we need a golden record. Well, that sounds expensive. So we've got a whole bunch of cartoons, which is fun. And there's plenty of room for if you want to. This is a crayon section here. You're welcome to draw your own diagrams. But it's super simple, straightforward. And I think nice people are reacting to it nicely. It was certainly a chore to write. Any of you, I'm just in awe of all these other authors here. It's like, you know, when I had my first kid, I was suddenly in awe of all women that they went through that. Now it's, you know, not quite the same
it's
scale
hard to find a book, right?
or impact, but you feel that's like actually writing it, getting it out there, getting it in your hands. Nothing like it, really fabulous, and a ton of what is that, spinner?
Is that a spinner on your?
No, it's these are my holiday lights. Are these not coming through?
You were no, it's coming through really well. You were
Yes.
Oh, I think by spinner, it's because we disabled that spinner, so it could be the holiday lights that disabled my giveaway spinner. So.
Oh, okay. We're here, and I'm in a different setup here. I'm in the Datatorium, deep in my data workshop, where I've got all kinds of data-related paraphernalia back there. What an awesome surprise! Thank you, Magdala. Did I pronounce that right? No, I'm sorry if I just lost a friend.
I just lost it. I put it away, so you can't try again.
Anyway. So thrilled to be on here. Thrilled to just take up any time. So thank you as always.
Yeah, so it was completely unplanned. So just for the live audience here, we didn't discuss this beforehand. Hey, maybe we should have Scott join. No, he literally messaged me privately saying, "Hey, you guys are doing great," and I'm like, "Hey, do you want to join us?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And that was it. Here he is. He's always ready. He's got his truth hat on. You sleep.
Oh, okay. I want to mention Joshua did a great job. That little diagram he talked about, that's a classic 5-act story structure from William Shakespeare. Okay, if you can read this here. If you don't believe that kind of story structure works, go back to your Shakespeare. Go back to your Homer, okay? Go back to your talk about classic storytellers. It's not always about data. It's about conveying that narrative. And these people know what the heck they're talking about. So you've got to use this classic kind of structure: exposition, rising action, climax, and denouement to untie the intricacies of what you're talking about. And then obviously in a business setting, a call to action. But lean on the stuff that's already out there. Don't try and come up with everything brand new in terms of the way you communicate. The methods are there. They're well practiced. It's not about being, a disruptive way to tell a story. You've got to convey this message. The disruptive part is the content you are explaining. Focus on your story. Focus on the characters, on the plot, on what you're trying to convey, and you'll be successful. But realize there is a structure there, and you want to be able to tell your data story in a way that's confident and makes the point.
Last question for you, Scott. Did you draw the cartoons yourself?
No, I didn't. I worked with a professional. The publisher said, "Oh, you want to put some cartoons in here?" I was like, "That's a great idea." I had tried it a couple times. I'm very creative, I think, but we all know our strengths. One of mine is not drawing, and this guy did a great job. It was probably the most one of the most exciting parts of the process was sending him the punchlines and the cartoon copy, and then it coming back just alive. It was really thrilling to see somebody professional put it in a way that really brought the point. So it's great working with people collaboratively.
Super.
Wonderful. So this was a blast.
So I don't know if my internet is still working.
Are you there? Kate's frozen. But you know, when Kate freezes,
my internet's not being my friend today.
She doesn't get stuck in one of those.
Definitely not.
I was on that Click meetup and I got stuck just like, and it was not good. So you want to, that's where I tend to get stuck. Oh, we're back. Okay, so it's just you and me. Yes. So I see back in the datatorium here, we have the CDO, the Chief Dog Officer, ready for some episodes. Stay tuned, folks, because if you like the puppets of data, the CDO, the Chief Dog Officer, the ITB who loves buzzwords, and Monkey Business, the Business Monkey, more episodes to come next year. Now that I finished the book, I can now work on puppets. This was my COVID summer project, and I realized if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And part of what I had to self-impose some discipline because I have a very casual relationship with deadline. Ask my publisher. And what I said to myself was, you are not allowed to work on puppets until you finish the book. That's just it. You can't start anything else big. So now New Year's coming. I got a whole narrative arc. We got a multi-episode series. I've got new characters. I've got some guest voices, which are exciting. And I'll announce it, including Kate. Kate will have an appearance in the plot here. We got a special character set up for her, and it's going to take a little while, but it's a ball. So I've started to put together the whole narrative arc, as they say, the story itself. Got to start with the story. You always have to start with the story, no matter what you do. You always have to start with the story.
Really looking forward to that, Scott. So as we wrap up, two very quick things before we bring in our very last speaker. Just want to let people know that you could find Scott at the DATAcated Conference. He's going to be speaking. Where's your picture? Oh, there you are.
Right up there. I'm so thrilled, Kate. You're having me back. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you haven't signed up yet, you can go to DATAcated.co and sign up for the conference. It's free. It's going to be hosted on LinkedIn Live, hopefully with less internet issues than I'm having today. But Scott, last question for you before we let you go is, where can people find your book?
You can find my book on Amazon. If you know that, Amazon, http //www.amazon.com.
Okay, thank you.
It's there. And also Technics Publications. Sorry, Ravit, Technics Publications. But, it's available on Amazon, the ebook, and also the handy takeaway pack. Buy one, buy two. Buy one for that data darling in your life.
Because that's what you really want.
Everybody has a data story. You've just got to be able to tell it. That's what I want to encourage people about. If you work at a company, you've got a data story. You've just got to explain it in a way that everybody understands it so you can change the nature of your business. That's all. No pressure, but you can do it.
Awesome.
Let me help you.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for your time. Thanks again for jumping on. I will see you on LinkedIn. All right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right, Ravit, I know we've got one person left to bring up on stage. You ready to roll?
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
Awesome. All right. So, Ollie Huggins, nice to meet you. Hello.
Hey, Ollie.
Hey, Ravit. Good to see you guys.
Yes, amazing, Ollie. Ollie is actually the product head of product at Packt. He looks after the book publishing division. He's the team lead of product manager, publishers, editorial staff, marketing executives, and also researchers in offices in UK and in India. Nice to see you, Ollie, and definitely I wanted to get you up here to talk about the $5 campaign which is happening, and we are excited about it. Why don't you tell us about the $5 campaign?
You're an excellent hype man. You make me sound much better than I probably am. So I think I think there's something really exciting with the $5 campaign. So for those of you who know Packt as an organization, like the $5 campaign is something we've always run kind of every year from December to January. It's become like a regular fixture in a lot of developers' calendars. And one of the original reasons for launching that campaign was around the kind of democratization of information. So when you make all the ebooks essentially $5, you unlock a lot more opportunities for developers, engineers all around the world who in any kind of other ordinary situation wouldn't have the opportunity to kind of purchase that kind of learning material. And what we found was we saw lots of developers come to our website, buy 5, 10 different books, and then really stock up on their learning for kind of the next year to help them stay ahead of the curve. Because obviously, like Packt, we tried to be first to market with a lot of our titles. So we'll tend to commission around areas which are in the kind of early adoption phase, and then hopefully by the time we publish, they'll be widely used by developers. So we tend to be on the more kind of bleeding edge of different technologies, software, and other bits and pieces as well. So yeah, it's been a really exciting journey. I mean, to be honest, 2020 has been a bit of a really strange year for everyone. So I guess COVID pandemic, landed in March. I was in Seattle in like January, and it literally feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like it never happened. And I think what we found was that pandemic hit people hard. And a lot of people had to address their positions in their careers and look for kind of more, robust industries to be a part of, more robust careers. And I think IT is a brilliant place to be, especially at the moment. We take for granted all the kind of the high street stores, which is kind of closing down. Being part of an IT company is a real privilege. And I think being able to offer this particular deal at this specific time is a really exciting thing, so much as it offers kind of a door for people to walk through to kind of upskill themselves in regard to all the new range of tech which is out there, which will hopefully get people prepared for 2021.
Quick question here from Nicole. Ali, what's the website? Where do they find it?
So Packt Publishing, you can find us at packtpub.com. You can also find us at packt.com. Thanks, Tushar.
Tushar is all over it.
Tushar is on it. Yeah.
Yes.
If you just head there, you'll find essentially a splash page which has some of our best sellers. So we've got some really amazing titles that I've been really excited about. So C# 9 and .NET Core, .NET 5, new mark price title is really great, and another one, machine learning for algorithmic trading as well, which is doing incredibly well. People are really buzzing about it. There we go.
That big one, that 800-page book. Yep.
Yeah, it's a tome. So if you buy it, you can use it to learn from. You could kill someone with it. It's multi-purpose.
Kill spiders. Yes, I get it.
Kill spiders.
Awesome.
Okay, Ollie, just one question, Ollie, before you actually. So how many communities are we serving here? Packt has come up with how many communities we would be, giving out those books to, and how does it look like?
Yeah, sure. So it's a campaign that's rolled out across the kind of the breadth of all the different communities that we work with. So for this specific year, we've targeted 30 different communities in the development space, and that's across 30 days. So each day represents us reaching out to a different community and showcasing the titles we have on offer available. So we've staggered them throughout those days. So hopefully each day there'll be something for everyone. But I should mention, the titles are $5 across the library of Packt content for the duration of the campaign. It's not just a specific community per day. But social feeds, we're spotlighting specific communities and really championing them on each specific day.
Yes, that's amazing. Thanks, Ollie.
That's awesome. All right.
All right, Ollie, well, it's great having you on. And Ravit, don't go just yet. Ollie,
yes.
Yeah, great to see you guys.
Okay, so Ollie, one last piece of work here is we have to announce the 3 winners for Scott's book. And the randomly selected winners without spinning the wheel, because the batteries are still not recharged, are Roberto Solano, congratulations, Carlota Fabres, and Lucas Akodishu. We will follow up with you and get your ebooks. Congratulations.
Yes.
You are the lucky winners. All right, awesome. I had a blast, Ravit. It was my first time co-hosting with somebody, and I loved it. I think you're going to have to come
yes,
back.
Definitely, Kate. Likewise, we should be, doing it every 3 months if the audience loves us. Definitely, it's something, we are learning out of the audience, and this is amazing. So we are DATAcated. We are with you and looking forward to DATAcated Conference. And this is just not the end of the giveaway for books. In January, we will be coming back, and I might take Kate live on my profile and on LinkedIn and actually do a giveaway with her. And also, Kate, just one last thing. Where do we need to register for DATAcated Conference? I don't know.
So 2 options. You could go to storybydata.com and click on DATAcated Conference, or just type in datacated.co, co for conference, right? And then last plug for you, Ravit. So you've got this new show, the Ravit Show. Why don't you just tell people all about it since we're here and they're here?
Okay, so the Raffle show is about anyone's story. If you have a story, I'll interview you. And definitely, I've had almost almost 10 guests till date, and we are doing good. Reach out to me. You can also find me on the YouTube. There's a channel, the Raffle Show. And thanks, Kate. That's it from my end. If you want the t-shirt, you can ping me. I'll send you the t-shirt of the Raffle Show.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. This has been great fun, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and happy holidays.